Okay, let me ask you this. If you're just, parking your data in the cloud, are you really getting the most out of it?
Hmm, that's a great question.
Because, look, just spinning up storage buckets in S3 or Azure ADLS or Google Cloud Storage, I mean, that's just the start, right?
Absolutely. That's like step one. The real value, the stuff that makes a difference, comes after that.
Exactly.
Ah.
We're talking about smart optimization, things that can seriously cut your costs.
And robust security to make sure that data stays safe.
Plus performance boosts that just make everything run smoother, faster.
Yeah.
So in this deep dive, we want to show how moving beyond that basic, just a bucket thinking can actually give you, the listener, a real competitive advantage.
And it's so relevant because cloud object storage is, well, it's fundamental now. Think about data lakes, AI, ML workloads.
Even just backups.
Right, even backups, they all lean heavily on this stuff. But what's surprising is how many teams aren't really using all the features.
They're leaving capabilities on the table.
Yeah, exactly. The advanced stuff that the big cloud platforms offer, often underused. And that leads to, well, wasted money and bigger risks than necessary.
Okay, so that's what we mean by going beyond buckets. It's moving from just storage space to more strategic thinking.
Strategic architecture, automation, governance, getting smarter about it.
Right. So let's dig into that. Optimization first. When we say beyond buckets for saving money, what are the key things?
Well, first off, it's really understanding that not all storage costs the same.
Right.
You've got your standard storage, sure, but then there are tiers like intelligent tiering, nearline, archive.
And these are cheaper, but for different uses.
Exactly. They're designed for data you don't need to access constantly. Intelligent tiering, for example, is great if you're not sure how often you'll need the data.
How does that work?
It automatically moves your data between, say, a frequent access tier and an infrequent one based on how it's actually used.
Yeah.
This can save a pretty significant chunk compared to just leaving everything in standard, especially if you guess wrong about access patterns.
Okay, so it's adaptive. You don't have to guess perfectly up front. And you mentioned automation.
Yeah.
Can we set rules for this?
Yes, definitely. That's where lifecycle policies are key. You set up rules maybe based on the age of the data, like move anything older than 90 days to a cheaper tier.
Oh, okay.
And the system just handles it. It transitions the data automatically. That's how you get sustained savings without someone having to constantly manage it by hand.
Got it. So smart tiers, automated lifecycle policies.
Yeah.
That hits the cost angle. Now, what about speed? Making things run faster. Performance optimization.
Right, performance. This is where how you actually store the data inside the bucket matters a lot. The format and the structure.
Like the file type.
Exactly. For analytics, using columnar formats, think Parquet or Delta Lake, can make a huge difference. Queries run much, much faster compared to older formats like CSV or JSON.
Why is that? Columnar versus row-based?
Yeah.
What's the magic there?
Well, think about an analytics query. You often only need a few columns from a massive table, right?
Yeah, like just sales figures and dates, not customer addresses.
Precisely. Columnar formats let the query engine read only the columns it needs. It doesn't have to scan through all the other data in the row. Less data read means faster queries.
Okay, that makes sense. Just grab what you need.
And then there's partitioning, breaking your data down into logical chunks, maybe by date or region or product line.
Like creating subfolders within the bucket?
Sort of, yeah. It helps query tools like Spark or BigQuery or Redshift Spectrum prune the data they need to scan. If you only need data for June, it only looks in the June partition.
Gotcha. So columnar formats, partitioning,
Yeah.
anything else?
File compaction is another one. Having lots of tiny files can really slow things down. Compacting them into fewer, larger files helps. Even just having a well-thought-out logical folder structure helps downstream tools find things faster.
It's like organizing your digital filing cabinet properly.
Okay, makes sense. Yeah. Let's switch gears to keeping that filing cabinet locked down. Security. How does beyond buckets apply here? Oh, security is absolutely critical. And just like with optimization, the defaults often aren't enough. Leaving wide open access permissions, that's a huge risk.
The step one is tightening access.
Definitely. You need granular IAM policies, identity and access management, and really stick to the principle of least privilege.
Meaning only give the absolute minimum permissions needed for someone or something to do its job.
Exactly that. No full access unless truly necessary, which is rare. A surprising number of cloud breaches come down to misconfigured permissions. It's basic, but vital.
Okay, lock down the access. What's next? Encryption.
Encryption is non-negotiable, and you need to understand the options like customer-managed keys versus service-managed keys and when to use each.
So you control the keys sometimes.
You can, yeah. Gives you more control, but also more responsibility.
Right.
Critically, data needs encryption both in transit when it's moving,
Like uploading or downloading.
right, and at rest when it's just sitting in the bucket. You should also look at integrating with services like AWS KMS or Azure Key Vault for managing those keys properly.
Okay. Strong access control, solid encryption. What else is in the security toolkit?
Network security, using private endpoints, setting up your VPCs correctly to limit exposure from the public internet. That's important.
Keeping it off the open web as much as possible.
Yeah. And then there are features within the storage service itself. Things like object versioning, so you can recover older versions if something gets deleted or corrupted.
Like an undo button.
Kind of. And immutability, which makes objects unchangeable for a set period. Good for compliance or preventing accidental deletions, plus cross-region replication for disaster recovery.
Wow. Okay. That's quite a few layers.
It has to be multi-layered. And finally, you need continuous monitoring. Audit trails, logs, setting up alerts for weird activity or anomalies. You have to treat storage security just as seriously as you treat, say, your compute security.
That really drives home how much goes into properly securing cloud storage. It's way beyond just setting a password. So it sounds like getting good at this stuff, the optimization of the security really pays off.
Absolutely. We see it all the time. You might have a cloud engineer who digs into lifecycle policies and suddenly cuts their S3 bill by, say, 30%. That's real money.
30%, wow.
Or a data engineer who redesigns the partitioning scheme and sees their query performance double. Think about how much faster insights become available.
Yeah, that's huge.
And on the security side, the security engineer who meticulously sets up those fine-grained access controls, they're the one preventing a data leak that could have been catastrophic.
These aren't just edge cases then. This is what skilled people should be achieving.
Exactly. This is the expected impact when you move beyond buckets and really master these tools. It's what employers look for, and it's how professionals advance their careers.
Right. So circling back to that first question, are you, the listener, just using buckets? Or are you really mastering your cloud storage platform? If you want to dig even deeper into these ideas, we definitely recommend checking out the full blog post. It's called Beyond Buckets over on our website.
Yeah, it goes into more detail on all these points.
And if you're building out your cloud team, or maybe you're looking to level up your own cloud skills, you should connect with Curate Partners. They specialize in exactly this, connecting that top-tier cloud talent with companies who really get the strategic value of doing storage right.
They understand this space well.
Definitely. So until our next deep dive, keep looking for those optimization opportunities. Keep tightening that security posture and stay cloud smart.
Good advice.
And here's something to think about. Beyond just cloud storage, what other everyday technologies that you use might have hidden potential, just waiting for you to dig a little deeper?